I started training on the Moonboard seriously about half a year ago, and I've sent 105 Moonboard benchmarks so far. And the number one lesson I learned is, don't get injured. It might sound cliche to some of you who never got injured from climbing, but I injured my finger again on the Moonboard for the second time. Right about a month ago, when I woke up the next day after a usual Moonboard 2016 session, I noticed stiffness in my finger. The range of motion was limited, and I felt pain when I crimped or gripped onto a hold very tightly. I decided to climb Moonboard 2019 instead to reduce the intensity and push through the pain. Initially, this seemed to be a good idea because the pain seemed to be lessening over time while I still continued to climb. But when I ran out of easy climbs and started climbing harder climbs, I did a semi-dynamic move to a jog, which I would have had no problem with if my finger had been healthy. The move, however, popped my finger again. I finally decided to sit down and reflect on what went wrong. You can comment below and let me know if what I'm going to say makes sense. Climbing the Moonboard exclusively for half a year is probably a bad idea for two reasons. First, as we all know in climbing, there are walls with different kinds of angles like slabs, vertical, and overhang. There are also different kinds of holds like jugs, crimps, pinches, and slopers. There are routes designed to be climbed statically and dynamically. Gym climbs consist of a whole variety of these combinations, but Moonboard is mostly about dynamic overhang crimping. I think there's nothing wrong with specificity climbing over well-rounded climbing, but the problem is this specific variation happens to be the most strenuous on the fingers, and the fingers are not able to sustain this kind of strain in the long run. Second, you are very likely to push yourself to 110%. I can't count how many times I have dynoed and dead pointed onto a terrible crimp and forced myself to hold on to it because in my mind I was thinking I just needed to push through this move, finish the climb once, get it on camera, check it off in the logbook, and upload the send to Instagram, then I would never have to climb it again. When your body does something your mind doesn't think is capable of doing it, it's a pretty great feeling that you will want to experience again and again. In hindsight, I probably should have trained on the Moonboard at most once a week. And if I had really wanted to train on the Moonboard for 3 to 2 times a week, I should have only done it for a short burst, like a month or so. In any case, it's too bad I didn't increase my max send grade after the Moonboard grind. Otherwise, I could have made a video called something like Average Climber Sends His First V8 After Climbing 100 plus Moonboard Benchmarks and get 10 times the view of this one, and talk about my take on body tension, footwork, and all the good stuff like that. But unfortunately, life is not a fairy tale. I also have newfound respect for all you V7 Plus climbers out there who have never injured yourself. You, sir, or the 7% of madame who watched my video, are a beast. Anyways, I'm gonna stop training on the Moonboard until my fingers are completely back to normal. In the meantime, I'll shift my focus to experimenting different climbing related training. So definitely stay tuned for that. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out my website, geekclimber.com. See you in the next video.